Hi, I'm Maria Thea Harris or Velo Sews on social media. Welcome back to Sober 50s podcast on Organised Style.
They omit that whole section of sewing for themselves because things have never fit correctly.
That's Christine of Sewing in the City. Let's watch and listen to Christine now. Christine, thank you for coming onto the podcast today for Sober 50.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat today.
Oh, thank you for contacting me. And who is this lovely furry person?
Yeah,
baby
this little
on your lap.
Furry pup is named Owen. He does make an appearance sometimes in my Instagram or my YouTube. And now he says, "Okay, I've had enough. It's time to get down." He's going to go take a nap, hopefully. But yeah, he's my sewing buddy.
Oh, lovely. And so, Christine, whereabouts are you in the world?
Well, now I'm in Valencia, Spain, which is just on the Mediterranean side of Spain.
Oh, lovely. I've been following you on social media for a while. Can you give us your history, your sewing and online history for us?
I started sewing even before I can remember. So I don't remember a time when I haven't been sewing. My mom says that I was about 5 years old and I was just begging her to let me use the sewing machine. She sewed. She's mostly a quilter now, but we always had the sewing machine in the corner of the living room. And she said I just was begging her to sew, and she was a little hesitant because I was so little. But finally, I think I probably got so annoying that she just said, go ahead. And I haven't stopped since. I have been, maybe for periods of a couple of years, I haven't sewn. But I've always come back to sewing. It's kind of like a good friend, good old friend that kind of always is waiting, and you can just pick it back up and it's as if no time has passed. So sewing has just always been a part of my life. And it's actually what led me to my first real career. My first jobs were actually in fashion. And I was able to kind of get my foot in the door because I understood clothing construction. And so I could speak enough to, the clothing business, selling clothes because I understood the basics. And so that was actually what led me to my first career was sewing. And then online, yeah, I started, I was living in New York working for an Italian fashion brand called Emilio Pucci. And I was of course sewing. So I had a little studio apartment and I had a desk with my sewing machine set up. And so I was sewing, and I would blog about the things that I was making. That's how Sewing in the City started. Was I just started an Instagram account and a blog and was just kind of sharing things here and there that I was making. And so that's really how it all got started.
You were actually in the thick of New York and having access to all of those sewing fabrics and notions. What does that feel like now?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, like we were talking about offline about, being in a remote place where it's hard to get all the little things. I think I didn't really realize how good I had it. That, you could just run down to the garment district and find gorgeous laces and, of course, mood fabrics. I think also one thing that I really appreciate about New York is the visual inspiration. So just walking on, Madison Avenue or in Soho and just looking in all the windows and just seeing what garment did they put in their window? What's their hero piece? And what are the details of that? What is the fabric? What artistic techniques have they woven into the garment? I was just in New York, and that's literally what I did for 2 full days was just walk around Soho, walk around Madison, Bleecker, and just, I popped into some stores, but really just from the windows, you can get so many ideas. So New York was really great for that.
So while you're going around to all the different shop fronts, are you able to take photos as well?
Oh, totally. I did on some, and some I just kind of take the overall inspiration and just kind of file it away in the brain.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, sometimes when I'm looking at ready to wear, I'll have a look at the label and straight away I go on the Instagram to see if they've got an account
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
start following it just for that to come
Yeah.
into my feed. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I did a lot of that too. That I would look them up on Instagram and find their website.
Mm,
Because it is nice to have some new, like kind of fresh inspiration in the digital world as well.
yeah. Okay. Now, focusing on the digital world, my podcast supports Sober 50. I wanted
Mhm.
to ask you, do you follow the Sober 50 account?
Yes, of course, of course. I love it. I love all the diversity and all the fashions. So I think I was first, I think my gateway into Sober 50 was Susie from Sewing in Spain. And
Yeah.
I think that we had originally connected through the Spanish connection. And then I found sewing over 50. So yeah, it's a great community.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that community's grown to 53,000 followers and it's pretty much getting close to their seventh birthday too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These days, what's your main focus?
I kind of have the pattern, new sewing pattern development. It's something I really, really enjoy doing. That's something that I'm always kind of working on quietly. It's like a quiet hum in the background. There's always something in development. Something that I've created this year is an online program called Fit Clinic,
Okay.
where I'm walking women through doing pattern adjustments that allow you to fit your garment to your body. So what I've found is through my pattern making experiences, patterns are drafted for a certain body proportions and a certain cup size and all of that. And it doesn't take into account if you have a larger bust or a sloping shoulder or a sway back and all those things. And so because of that, I find a lot of people either don't sew their own clothes, they omit that whole section of sewing for themselves because things have never fit correctly. We've demystified that. And so I have the course content, which walks you through the pattern adjustments. And then we meet live on Zoom, where I actually help you diagnose from a toile or from a finished garment what's going on that's making it not fit properly and what you can do about it. And then you can go and make another toile, and we look at how that worked. And by the end, you have a perfect fitting garment. So the feedback has been so great with it. I also taught a version of it at Sew Expo. So that's been something that I've been really enjoying. It's been something new and just something that I feel has brought value to women, because it's like there's this whole section of sewing clothes and fashion. Things don't have to not fit. Like there's really easy solutions to get things to fit our bodies. So
The feedback that you've been getting from the people that you've been working with who sew, what's been one of the biggest eye openers for them?
like one of the biggest things that I see, kind of just like the cream on the top, is choosing the correct size, because I think that's one of the first things to kind of tackle or like check off the box is, okay, things don't fit because we're starting in the very start with the wrong size.
Right.
And so especially for women with a larger or smaller bust than the pattern is drafted for, like a lot of times we're choosing our size based on our bust size, and then it's too big in the neck or too big in other places or too small. And so that really just goes back to choosing the right size and then making adjustments for either, the larger bust, smaller bust. I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes or issues that I see that
Yeah.
we're making, is just simply choosing the wrong size. Well, everyone has their own sizing chart.
Mm,
And so it can be a little bit confusing, because you could be
yeah.
one size in one, another size in ready to wear, another size in the indie pattern companies. Once you get your sizing right, then it's just about making little adjustments for, sloping shoulder or narrow shoulder or, a larger or smaller bust. I also think sizing is such a peculiar thing because there can be emotions tied to that number
Yes.
for
Yeah.
for some people. And so we just think like, oh no, I've always been a 12, even
Hmm.
though based on your actual measurements, you should actually be cutting the size 6 or the 14 or 16. And but there's some connection to the number, that can be it can be difficult. And I totally recognize that.
Size is always an emotional issue.
It's the same, like, people make comments because I'm, on the smaller side, and it's just the way my body is, so it's not always something that we have so much control over.
From looking at your Instagram account, you've done a lot of reusing existing clothes, etc. What spurred that on? Because they look gorgeous. So, what got you started?
Yeah, so I think the very first upcycling that I did was I had a jersey knit black dress that, I think it was from the Gap. So it was a nice knit, but it was in my giveaway pile. The you
Hmm.
go through your closet and you have the pile, and there was something about the fabric that was nice. And so what I decided to do was I had a remnant of kind of a brightly colored fabric similar to what I'm wearing. I had a remnant of that of like a half of a yard. And I cut off the sleeves of the dress
Yeah.
and put on puffed sleeves. And it just completely changed the dress. It revived it. It was this
Mhm.
kind of plain black dress. And then all of a sudden it had some personality. So that was my first kind of start in the upcycling, changing, reusing. I guess the spark of taking a garment that's already created or a piece of something that already had a life
Mm.
and reworking it. And then I started finding, here in Spain, um, vintage linens and tablecloths and sheets and different, textiles that I would find. And then I started doing upcycling using the embroideries and just the gorgeous fabrics from the past. So yeah, that really came about just because I started stumbling upon them and buying them because I couldn't leave them behind.
No.
I didn't know what I was going to do with these
Mm.
tablecloths, but they were too pretty just to leave on the table. So yeah, that they kind of came into my world, and then I started creating with them.
And those tablecloths have that. Okay, you're in Spain and they're very Spanish, but I think what I'm trying to get at is they're usually on a white background and they've got really strong colors. And
Yeah.
that looks amazing in clothing, let alone on a tablecloth.
Yes. They're
Yeah.
the embroideries, are just exquisite. And you're right, the colors, the brightness and the
Mm.
happiness. I love color, and I love wearing color. And so it works. I'm not, sometimes people will definitely kind of look because it's something a little strange, a little different. I love the one of a kind nature of it as well, which really it's like sewing to the next level. No one will ever have that exact piece.
Christine, based on your experience and how you've been working with people, what advice would you give sewers who are coming back to sewing after not sewing for many years?
My best advice, and what I'm telling myself even lately, is to really sew at your own pace. Not get caught up in the trends or finishing something, within a certain time frame just because you see other people doing it. Sewing is a really personal journey. And so if it takes a month to make something because you are in a busy season or you just don't have time, and that's kind of all you have to dedicate to it, that's totally fine. And on the other side too, if you do finish something in a day, like that's okay too. Like really just let your sewing rhythm be your own and not influenced by any other outside sources that are either rushing you or pushing you. It really is on your own time. If it takes a month, if it takes 2 months, that's totally fine as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That's great advice. It's dependent
Thanks.
on you and what what motivates you and what time you've got too, so you don't get anxious about sewing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of pressure sometimes. I do this as a hobby and as for a living. So, the YouTube video, I'd like to get that published, so there is a little bit of pressure that I put on myself. But when it comes to my personal sewing, it's so much more enjoyable when you just kind of do it on your own time, let it be as it should. It's so enjoyable. And for someone who maybe like is getting back into sewing and maybe you've sewn for your kids, I would say don't be afraid to try making your own clothes and getting a good fit for your body maybe that's changed as we get older. There's definitely ways to get garments to fit and for you to feel really good in them. And so definitely don't give up if something hasn't fit in the past or your body's different than it was before. Just kind of takes a little bit of time to get to know the body again and learn the pattern fitting techniques that can make a garment fit really good on your body.
If listeners or viewers would like to get in contact with you, where can they find you online?
Yeah, so pretty much everywhere it's Sewing and the City. So AND, Sewing and the City, on Instagram, YouTube, and also on my website.
Wonderful. Christine, thank you for coming onto the podcast with Sober 50. It's been great to talk to you and meet you in real life.
Yes, thank you, Maria. So great to meet you and chat.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you. Bye.
This episode of Sober 50 podcast on Organised Style was both video and audio produced by me, Maria Theoharis, in my sewing room, with permission of Christine, sound by Kaneef on YouTube. Many thanks for the ongoing monthly support of the podcast Patreon contributors. Their membership enables me to create these video and audio podcasts for you for free. You can subscribe to So Organised Style Podcast, but with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps and on YouTube. Make sure you go back and listen to our free Sober 50 podcast archive on So Organised Style. Direct message Sandy and the team at Sober 50 on Instagram to contribute to the ongoing posts and challenges. I look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.